Hey, what is up everybody? As you may know, the print failed again. The knobs got loose. I just keep having the same issue with the CR-10 S5. But in this video, I'm gonna go through and make some significant changes to this. I'm actually gonna take out the glass bed. I'm gonna put the magnetic sheet that belongs to this PEI sheet onto the metal portion of the bed, because right now it's layered up from the metal portion to the glass bed to the magnetic sheet, then to the PEI sheet. So I'm gonna do away with the glass bed, and it's gonna make it lighter. And you know, people complain that this CR-10 S5 should have had 2 belts. And I think I agree, because it's so big, it needs 2 belts. You see it with the CR6 Max, where they actually put in 2 belts, and I think that's even smaller than this bed. It's still big, but a little smaller. So I started the second half of the Starkiller helmet, and I come a few hours later, and again, the knobs got loose and the bed was shaking as it was printing. So I did contact Creality, and they sent me some new knobs, and you'll be seeing that in the video, and hopefully along with some nuts that stay tight during vibrations. So this is what happened. This is where the helmet stopped, and I finished it off actually, the Starkiller helmet, on the CR-10 Smart. And this is where we're at. Hey, by the way, if you're new here to the 3D Theory channel, we're all about 3D printers and 3D printing fun props. If you're interested in these topics, then consider subscribing and click that notification bell to get notified when I upload new videos. Let's get started. So all we gotta do is print out those swords that go into the back of the helmet, and then we can get started with that. But before I do that, I'm gonna make sure I get this up and running and have a print start to finish. I'm not giving up, I'm keeping it going, and it really felt like a battle with this thing. By the way, I hope you guys like the intro. It really feels like I'm going through some sort of a standoff with this thing. Hopefully with these changes that I'm about to make, that you guys will see and hopefully benefit from as well, this thing will print start to finish finally. I've had this for about 6 months and haven't had a successful print from start to finish yet, due to all the problems it's been giving me. And I can't return it. Creality official refuses to return any printer. So what they do is they just end up sending you parts to repair it. So I do have some new parts from them. I don't know how effective they'll be, but let's get this started. All right, first things first, I'm gonna take the glass bed off the bed itself. And this thing is actually really heavy. So my goal is to just do away with the glass bed altogether. And you'll see what my plan is. I have the PEI sheet as mentioned before, but under the PEI sheet is the magnetic sticker that comes with the PEI sheet. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this magnetic sticker off and put it directly onto the metal bed there. All right guys, so I got me here a piece of butcher's paper that's nice and big, that is cut to the bed size of the S5. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm just gonna mark where all these screws are at. So just in case I ever need to access them, I know where they are. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I'm gonna be putting that magnetic sticker directly on this metal bed now. So I'm just gonna get this on here, rip me off some of this tape. All right, and just to give it some extra support, I'm just gonna put some of these clips on here. I think that would have been better than the tape actually. So I know that there's some screws here. Okay, grab a permanent marker. another one there. I'm just pressing down so I get the outline of it. Okay. Now there's one here. This is for the knob actually. Another one right here. Another one right there. That's looking good. Now that I have that marked out, I can continue with the rest of the project. All right, so I'm just gonna leave this bed here so that when I'm ready with that magnetic piece, I could just come here and apply it on as I need it. But I do wanna wipe this down with something like a wipe so that all these oil smudges from my finger aren't here. First, I'm gonna use a microfiber cloth and just wipe down the dust. Now I'm gonna use this wipe here to just make sure all those oil stains are gone. All right, lastly, I'm going to use this paper towel to just wipe it down. Make sure all those smudges are gone from my fingers. All right, that's looking like a pristine surface right there. All right, now let's head over to the magnetic sticker and start taking it off and bringing it on over here and sticking it on over here. All right, I got myself a pair of gloves, and honestly, I hope this is easier done than said, because this thing's already well stuck on there, and I'm really hoping that it just comes off really easy. Here we go. I'm gonna get myself an edge going. Okay, so far so good. And I'm just gonna start peeling away at it. My hope is that this thing still has enough stickiness by the time I'm through with it. But as you can see, it's a bit of a challenge. Slow but steady wins the race. And it takes a considerable amount of strength. This really takes a lot of strength. And I think the most difficult part is to just get it lifted. Once it's lifted, it actually becomes a little bit easier. It's coming off. It's just taking its sweet time and a lot of energy. This thing is just about mangled, but almost off. Just a little ways to go. Let's make sure we're not sticking the parts we already took off. We're almost there, guys. All right. All right, we got the magnetic sheet off the glass bed. That glass bed's actually pretty sturdy. But boy, was this a workout. I think I'm gonna have to drink 4 protein shakes after this. But let's get this thing on that metal bed. All right, guys, we're back here on the metal bed, and I wouldn't want to have to do that in a million years ever again. I don't know if this is gonna work, but we're gonna give it a try. So I'm gonna stick it to the side here where it fits. Make sure we're lined up as best as possible. And once that's done, I'm gonna stick this down onto the metal plate and put these pins on there. Now, if you do end up getting one of these odd weight on putting it on, to see whether or not it's best to put it on the metal part or the glass. And you're gonna find out after I finish putting it on here. All right, so I got this on that metal bed. I'm not sure if it's gonna work. There's a lot of imperfections here. This kind of is protruding up. It's just part of me taking it out, but I'm gonna give it a try. All right, once that PEI sheet is on there, it's really flat. It's really nice. I think this is gonna work. The only way to try, of course, is to print something out. Now that the PEI sheet is on there nice and flush, we're gonna have to compensate for the thickness of the glass and use some washers to raise up the bed a little bit. And I'm gonna show you how we're gonna do that. All right, guys, so now I'm gonna cut a hole for the 4 screws that belong to the knobs. So I'm just gonna take this off here. And I'm gonna use this template that I made to find out where the holes are at. So this here is the hole for the knob. So I'm gonna go in and make a marking there with my razor. And I'm gonna start cutting out a hole. All right, I can see the screw down there. I'm just gonna work on creating a bigger hole so it matches the screw. It's helpful to have a really sharp X-Acto knife. All right, as long as I could take the screw in and out, I think we're solid on that front. All right, I'm gonna do that for the rest of them, the other 3, and then I'll meet you back here for the next steps. All right guys, now that I opened up the 4 screw holes that I need, which belong to the knobs on the bottom of the bed, now we can move on to checking out what Creality had sent me in response to me telling them that the knobs keep getting loose during printing. So let's head over there and I'll show you what they sent me. All right guys, so here's the box that Creality had sent me. So let's dig in and let me show you what I got. So in response to telling them that the knobs keep coming loose during printing, they sent me knobs that are bigger and probably are nicer, but they don't fit under the machine. The railing is in the way, so for it to work, you'd need a lot more space and just kind of end up penetrating the railing. So I can't really use these. They just sent this to me for fun. I don't know, but I can't use these. I can use the ones that came with them originally, which are tiny and hurt your fingers, but at least they work. So this was kind of a joke, I think. I'm gonna put this back in the box over here. And so they sent me new knobs. They sent me new screws that go along with the knobs, and also new springs. These are the same exact ones that come with the machine itself. So since they sent me new ones, might as well utilize them. There is one thing that they did send me that, actually is gonna make a big difference, are these nylon lock nuts. They're nuts that have a piece of nylon in it. I don't know if you can see it if it's too blurry, but it has a piece of nylon in it that actually prevent the knobs from coming loose, because it's really tight. So I'd have to use maybe like a small little wrench or small needle nose pliers to get this around. But once this nylon lock nut is on, it's sturdy. It's staying where it is. And I'm gonna actually put up an image right here of something you could find similar to these at Home Depot. Now, pay no attention to the size that I showed you in that picture because it's not accurate. But that's the kind of lock nut you want to get. I don't know what size these are, but you'd have to check. You can maybe take one of these screws and check over there at Home Depot. But that's the one you want to get. Nylon lock nuts. It helps with when there's vibrations going. It keeps the nut locked in place. So I'm just gonna get this built out here, and they sent me one extra of everything. So I got one extra lock nut, one extra spring, and one extra knob. I only need 4, they sent 5, which is nice of them. So, like before, this is how the knobs function on the machine. So it's just the screw, the spring, and the knob here. But as you can tell, it's really smooth. And so at the bottom of this here is most likely going to go this lock nut. And when I get that lock nut in place there, wherever I had, leveled it, that's where it's going to stay. So because I took out the glass bed, I'm going to go check the thickness of the glass bed using my calipers here. And I bought some washers here so that I can compensate for the thickness of the glass bed, because the nozzle, once you take out the glass bed and you only use the magnetic strip and the PEI sheet, what happens is the thickness of the glass bed provided the nozzle to be able to reach the glass bed. But since you take out the glass bed, there's a little gap that, you know, no matter how low you take the Z offset, it will never touch the glass bed. So you have to compensate by using some washers if you take out the glass bed. So I went ahead and I took a look at the thickness of the glass bed, and it's 0.1560 inches. And so what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna open up one of these washers and see how many washers it takes to get about that thickness. 2 is a little bit too thin, 2 washers. So I'm gonna do 3. 3 is a little bit thicker, but I would rather have it a little bit thicker than thinner. And that's, to me that's perfect. It's a little bit thicker, it doesn't quite fit in that little gap, which is exactly what we're looking for. All right guys, I just want to kind of update you on how I did the screw structure. So just to keep in mind, I did use this here washer, so you guys can check that out and get it if you need it from Home Depot. That's the exact one I used, and it comes in 3 washers. So I got 3 per screw, and I'm just gonna use this washer as an example because I don't want to open these. I already got as many as I needed, and I'm just gonna return these. So I put 3 of those washers first up on the screw like that. Then I got the spring, then the tightening knob, and then after I got the tightening knob on there, I got the nylon lock nut, which has that nylon piece and prevents whatever you're, like, let's say it's this knob, prevents it from unwinding. So that's how I did it there. So just to recap, I got 3 washers, the size that I showed you. And I'm just using this one as a visual example. Then I got the spring, the tightening knob, and then the nylon lock nut, which I put on after I manually bed level. So that's how I did it. I just wanted to kind of recap there. And that really worked. Using these 3 washers right here, lifted up that metal bed just enough so that it covered just slightly above how thick the glass bed would have been. There's actually one thing I forgot to mention. The filament runout detector that comes with the S5 has really, let's just say, not so good plastic. There's supposed to be a hole that lets the filament in through here. Maybe you'll be able to see it. But as you can tell, it's not just one hole anymore. The filament actually wore away at the plastic and created several more holes, creating a larger opening, making this filament runout detector useless. So I told them about that, and they sent me another filament runout detector, the same exact one. And I thought to myself, well, if they're gonna send me the same exact one, it's gonna have the same exact issue. As you can tell with this one, it just has its nice clean little hole. So to remedy the problem, I actually got these really tiny nuts that can fit filament in pretty snugly. And I'm gonna use my trusty construction adhesive Gorilla Glue to glue on one of these metal nuts so that it doesn't wear away at the plastic. And likewise, I'm gonna do it on the other side too, right here, because it also wore away at the back side of that plastic too. So we're gonna get that done as well. And I'm glad they sent me another one of these because it's nice to have a filament runout detector. All right guys, so I went ahead and I started printing out the geometric cup that I had on my Etsy shop. That's kind of a test print. And honestly, it's looking pretty good. The print quality is not the best I've seen, but it's looking good. I think the CR-10 Smart that I have has a better print quality, but it's printing and it's working. And all the changes that I made to it, including that 0.6 millimeter nozzle, has really worked out. I'm really happy with it. And I just can't wait to see this thing finish and call this the first completed print on the CR-10 S5 after 6 months of owning it. So looking forward to that moment to share it with you guys. Until then, stay tuned. Now, just to give you guys an idea of how heavy this glass bed was, and by taking it out, lightened the bed that much more, it's actually 5 pounds and 7.3 ounces. 5 pounds and 7.3 ounces was completely taken off the print bed, and I think that played a big part in making it print better, not have so many vibrations. And I really think, doing away with the glass bed helped out a lot. All right, guys, and I did do this off camera. I ended up putting on those nuts on both sides of the filament runout detector it came with, using this here construction adhesive, all-purpose, all surfaces Gorilla Glue, heavy duty, and it worked like a charm. This thing really kept these machine screw nuts on there pretty good. And here's the sizes that I used. So if you guys are looking to do the same thing so your filament runout detector doesn't, start to wear away at the holes, then by all means, those were the screws that I used. And it really helps. I got them in there nice and snug with the glue, and it's really doing its job, preventing the filament from wearing away at that very cheap plastic. Another thing I did off camera is I ended up switching out the nozzle to a 0.6 millimeter nozzle. So I'm printing out with the 0.6. You could kind of see the layer lines a little bit more. That's totally okay. I'm really just happy that this thing did its first finished print from start to finish. Very happy with the results. And I'm starting my second print. This is probably one of the biggest prints I've done. It's printing out its raft so far, but I got a really cool stealth side table going on. I'll show you that when it's done. I may or may not put that on my Etsy shop. Speaking about my Etsy shop, you guys may remember this here. This is the dark throne on my Etsy shop, and it's a phone holder. You can tilt it back and forward. And so you're meant to put your phone on there as a phone holder. It's a cool conversation piece. You can lift it up, bring it down. You could even put it vertically. And it's just a really cool conversation piece. You just keep it on your desk and you can put your phone on there, and it just looks really cool. Not only do I have this piece on my Etsy shop now, I actually also created what I call the throne of the chosen one. And again, it does the same sort of thing. You can lift this up here, bring the seat back and forth as needed, and you can put your phone on there vertically and also to the side, bring it up and down as needed. So I got those two thrones, and lastly, I got this here cool throne, which does absolutely the same thing. This one's a little bit more ornate. I call this one the throne of the royal watch. Call this the throne of the royal watch. And again, it has the reclining ability. You can bring it up and down as needed, and you can put your phone on there vertically. Okay, and then also horizontally like that. And yeah, it's just a really cool conversation piece you could have on your desk. This one's really ornate, really fancy schmancy. But yeah, check these out on my Etsy shop. The link is in the description below. Well, to give you guys my thoughts with the Creality CR-10 S5, it's been a lot of trouble. It's actually really tested my patience. So I'm really happy I finally got this thing working. One thing that I noticed that really helped with the bed leveling was that I would set my Z offset a little too low, and so it would kind of dig into the print bed here. But now I figured out that I raised the Z offset before the print, like during the manual bed leveling, and I raised it enough so that a sheet of paper can freely just go underneath it, underneath the nozzle in the print bed real easily. And I do it to all four sides in the same way. and I've been getting a really good first layer and really good prints. So my thoughts are that this thing really taught me a lot. I'm gonna say it in that way because it's true. This printer taught me a lot more about 3D printing than I could have ever imagined. Luckily for me, the Smart had been a really good starter printer for me, a big starter printer actually. My very first one was actually a Monoprice Mini Delta V2, but this was my really big first, I think it's called Cartesian style printer where it has the bed, you know, the bed slinger. So compared to the Smart and the S5 definitely has had a lot of issues and has taught me how to overcome those issues very well. It's been giving me a lot of hard practice, and I'm very happy that the S5 is finally working. It's finally printing. It's doing its job. It's printing really well. And although the Starkiller helmet didn't print in one go on it, I did get it finished. The bottom half was printed on the S5 and the top half was printed on the Smart there. And honestly, they both did a wonderful job. The Starkiller helmet has been gathering up a lot of dust because it's been sitting around as I've been trying to fix the S5, but this thing is ready to continue going. All I got to do is print the swords up top, which I'm gonna do on the Smart because this one's kind of preoccupied right now. And then we can go ahead and start either throwing some spot putty on there to make it smooth and filler prime it and paint it and get it going from there. All right guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to hit that subscribe button, like the video, and stay tuned for the next steps on the Starkiller helmet. And I got this really cool piece of furniture that I'm gonna be building out. I always wanted to create some sort of stealth table, and so this is gonna be that project there. By the way, if you wanna watch more videos about 3D printing fun props and 3D printers, then check out the playlist that pops up on the screen. And I think we can call that CR-10 S5 figured out and able to print. This guy's gone. No more Mr. Mean Guy, not working 3D printer. Until next time guys, peace, love, and joy.